The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey there, gang. Welcome, 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 welcome. This is the slightly hoarse David Newman and the awesome and amazing Teresa French.
Hello. Great to be here with you guys today.
So we are talking about revive your speaking business. And we just got
Revive it.
a couple minutes here before the top of the hour. I have to let Woofy the Wonder Dog back in because, of course, I just let her out before we started this little pre-show ramble here. But I'm curious, and Teresa, you can maybe monitor the chat here. Can everyone see and hear okay? As far as you've got the big title slide with this guy walking into the beyond, and you can hear Teresa's voice and my voice. Just type yes in the question box if that's the case.
Mike says yes. Steven says yes. Cher says yes. Lonnie says all good. Philip, Mike, Kevin, Tony, Ed, great to have you guys all here with us. Thank you for the confirmation. Y says yes. Don, Tim. We got a great group today, David.
Make sure, call out some of our friends that we know, embarrass them for 30 seconds, and I'll be right back.
Well, there is Tim Barnaby, and we have David Chapman with us, and Tony Edwards, and Ed the Rainmaker. That's right, Ed the Rainmaker Robinson. Great to have you here with us today. I'm not good at embarrassing people, guys, so I think I'm going to leave that to David. I'm just going to say, hello, glad you're here. Can't wait to share this information. And he says, stop it. Ed says, I need to stop my pseudo radio introduction of the Rainmaker. So, well, hopefully we can help you make some more rain today.
I'll tell you, man, the fact that awesome rock stars like Ed Robinson are in the house, it just proves what you and I talk about, Teresa, all the time, which is the master is always the student.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. There's so much truth to that.
So the moment that you think you have this dialed in, baked in 100%, that's when you start to decline and go downhill.
Well, you know what my dad always said, never, ever, ever feel you have arrived.
I will tell you what has arrived, though. The top of the hour has arrived, so we better get going.
We better get on to it.
So yeah, let me get things situated here. And yeah, we got this. I'm going to get rid of this. There we go. All right. Here's the official start. Ready? This is the official start. Welcome, everybody. This is Revive Your Speaking Business Now, what the top 1% of speakers know and do and have and say and send that you don't. We're going to add some bonus to the subtitle there. So really glad that you guys are here. This was one of our fastest filling webinars ever, and I think it's because it really struck a chord. So let's talk about who this is for and make sure that you guys are in the right spot. And my guess is, looking at the cast list here, that you are, but let's just make 100% sure. So this is for anyone who sells their expertise, knowledge, or wisdom, meaning speakers, consultants, trainers, coaches, experts, authors, course creators, information marketers, what Teresa and I like to call speaking-driven professionals. So the way to think about this, if you use your knowledge to solve a major business problem, today's session is going to be incredibly valuable for you. And here's the irony. When we talk about the death of speaking, revive your speaking needs CPR. We'll maybe come back to that little inside joke later on today. The speaking industry is booming. I'm going to share some numbers with you about that so you'll feel pretty good about the future of the speaking business. The problem is that speakers, too many good speakers, are dying. They're just not making the money they want to make. They're not having the impact they want to have. And this is a completely preventable, completely avoidable situation. So what this means is that because the speaking industry is doing so well, that is great for some And it really doesn't even matter for others because their business is imploding. And we're going to talk about exactly why that is and how you can not be in the imploding crowd and how you can be in the thriving and successful crowd. So it's going to be a little bit of good news, bad news, good news, bad news, good news, bad news throughout our time today. So mistake number one that I see all the time, and I see it all the time because I was guilty of it early in my career, is what we call grocery bag syndrome. Grocery bag syndrome is when you have just too many topics and they're all over the place and you just seem like a random grocery bag of expertise. So here's one sign of cancer on your speaking business. This is my first one sheet. When I went out there, I had 30 different workshop topics. I had leadership, team building, personal development, communication, leading through trust, leading through change, presentation skills, hiring, firing, basket weaving, boat building. We have a pretty smart crew here, Teresa. I want to ask people, when you have this grocery bag speaker syndrome, what is the problem? What's your problem in the marketplace? Like when a buyer comes across this kind of grocery bag speaker, what's the problem in the buyer's mind? Go ahead and type that in, guys. If you can kind of figure out from the buyer's perspective what's wrong with having a million different topics and trying to cover all your bases and trying to be as wide as you possibly can, what perception does the buyer get? And more importantly, what perception does the buyer not get about you and your expertise?
You're right, David. We do have some very smart cookies in this group. Check out these answers. So Gina says, yep, that's me. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Maria says, no special value. Let's see. Carolyn says, you are not perceived as an expert in anything. Mike says, you can't be good at everything, expert at nothing.
Yeah.
Great answers. Ed says you are a generalist versus an expert. That's exactly right.
Absolutely right. And I'll tell you, having done this for 3 years the wrong way, the generalist way, and I love all those answers are spot on. The problem is that everyone can be a generalist, right? I want you to really think about that, right? Generalist positioning equals commodity positioning, whereas very few people can have expertise without claiming expertise. Oh, there's a heavy load right there, right? You might even, because here's the problem. I probably did have expertise in one or two of these things, but because I didn't claim it and I was hiding behind the grocery bag menu, it undermined the perception of my expertise in any one of these areas. So huge truth bomb, huge light bulb moment for you right there. Let's go to mistake number 2. Mistake number 2 is no target market, right? Everyone is your market, boil the ocean strategies, and then people wonder like, oh gosh, how much marketing are you doing? Oh, I don't like marketing. I find marketing to be exhausting. Why? Well, because you're trying to market everything to everyone, and it's very, very tough. It takes a lot of energy to boil the ocean. Now, let me drop truth bomb number 2 on your heads right now. It is very difficult to hit a target that you cannot see. So look at this little guy. He's blindfolded. Yes, he's shooting arrows. So you got to give him credit. He's taking some action. He's got some activity happening in the marketplace, but he's not hitting anything near the bullseye. He is just waiting to get lucky. The ultimate definition of spray and pray is not only when you're not hitting the target, but when you can't even see where the target is. So no target market is a huge problem. Mistake number 3 is no sales ability. I know that our friends in the National Speakers Association thought I was going down this other path, but no, that's not the problem. Number 3 is not the National Speakers Association. No sales ability, however, no sales ability is a huge problem. And when I say no sales ability, it's a couple of different things combined. And I want to ask you guys where you are on this. It's either no repeatable, reliable sales process, meaning that every sale goes down differently. Every lead, every prospect, every opportunity kind of comes in sideways, then leaves who knows how. Or that you've just been so, you're so tired of going around and around and around with your sales process that even the word sales is completely distasteful to you. Even the concept of selling your speaking, selling your coaching or consulting or training or workshops or seminars, you've just been so turned off by it that you've stopped selling and you've got into reactive mode instead of proactive mode. And so, of course, there's no sales ability because you're really in sales atrophy mode. So, is anybody with me on this one? Anybody with me on the going around the sales merry-go-round, so your head is spinning and you're getting kind of nauseous, and either you don't like to sell or you just don't do anywhere near enough of it to keep the pipeline as full as you would like. By the way, this isn't just for newer folks. We've worked with very seasoned speakers, 20, 25-year veterans who've had all kinds of great ups and downs in their speaking-driven business, and they say, I've fallen off the sales process wagon. I've fallen off the sales ability. I've just been so turned around, shaken, stirred, upside down, thrown off the horse so many times. You know what? I'm just going to wait for the phone to ring. And they're very open about, I've sort of abdicated my sales responsibility. So have you guys ever felt this way, or is it just me? Is it just me and Teresa?
Not just you, David. We've got lots of yeses. We've got Gina says it. Yes, we got Cher, Gina, Carolyn, David, Maria, Kay, Michael, Amy. Not just you. We're in good company.
All right. So here's the deal. When you think that sales is something that you do to someone, or that it's an adversarial kind of head-butting relationship, you're not going to enjoy it as much, and you're not going to thus engage in it as much as if you looked at sales, which is what it really is about. And jot this down somewhere. Our definition of sales and selling, when Teresa and I work with our clients, it's about inviting people to a conversation on how you can help them. So are you willing to invite people to a conversation with you about how you can help them? How you can help their team, how you can help their company, how you can help their conference, how you can help their association, how can you help their meeting, how can you help their attendees, their members. If you're willing to do that, if you're willing to help them and serve them, not pitch them and peddle them and push them and be an annoying pest, but rather extend your hand to truly help them, everything in the sales process goes 180 degrees the other way. You will start to look forward to a sales conversation every single time that you get to have one. You will also systematize and have a process that will make those sales conversations much more reliable in bringing you clients and cash. So I will tell you that I didn't really get an insight into this until I sat on the other side of the table. So, pardon me, some of you guys know that I spent a year as a meeting planner and a conference producer. I hired over 160 speakers and experts and employment law attorneys and consultants, and I hired some of my NSA buddies, and we hired them into virtual events, some live events, some summits that we did out on the West Coast, in Chicago, in Boston, all over the place. It was in 4 topic areas. So we hired people into HR, safety, finance, and sales. So pretty broad spectrum. Of some of you guys might be in any of these 4 areas right now. And within 2 weeks of doing that job, and this was like 2007, 2008, within 2 weeks, I knew immediately what worked and what didn't in my own speaker marketing. And I realized that, wow, you know what? Sitting in the buyer's chair, I wouldn't hire me. I wouldn't have hired myself because of all the crazy stuff I was doing wrong. That ultimately resulted in the year 2008. The National Speakers Association National Convention was in New York City, and I did a completely sold out session called Help Me Hire You. And it was 21 specific lessons and strategies and tips and tactics of what I found sitting on the buyer's side of what I would no longer ever do as a speaker, all the mistakes that I could immediately stop doing, and then all the smart things that I needed to start doing and that we all need to start doing. And that was just a pivotal moment, because until you're sitting in the buyer's chair, you really don't know what works and what doesn't. And having sat on all three sides of the table at this point, it's incredible. The things that our speaker and consultant and coach colleagues are totally blind to, that a buyer immediately resonates with or runs away from in the other direction. So let's talk about the speaking industry, and I'll start with the good news. The good news is that the speaking industry is thriving. So there's 18 million meetings a year, 7,500 business meetings every single day, meaning that there were 7,500 meetings yesterday, there were 7,500 meetings today, there's 7,500 meetings tomorrow. The only problem is that maybe you and I are not speaking at those meetings yesterday, or certainly not today, because today I'm here with you guys. And then 7,500 more happening tomorrow. So people that say, oh, well, I can't find the gigs, I can't find the leads, I can't find the conferences, you just don't know where to look. Or you're looking for love in all the wrong places, perhaps. $280 billion industry, 4.8% annual growth. All of this sounds fantastic. But the real question for you, as you're sitting listening to us today, is that turning into great clients and a healthy speaking business and money in your pocket? And the sad truth is, for most speakers, the answer is no. For most speakers, this is getting harder. It's not getting easier, because the rules have changed. The rules have totally changed. So let's talk about the bad news. Less than 6% of speakers earn $100,000 a year from speaking. They might do other things, but less than 6% earn $100,000 a year in speaking fees. Less than 2% of speakers earn $1 million a year. Here's the real sad news. Here's the real heartbreaker, if you ask me. 50% of speakers earn less than $50,000 a year. And that to me is a criminal shame. There's no reason for that. Teresa's mission, my mission in the world, is to eradicate that number so that really nobody is making less than six figures a year as a speaking-driven professional. And we'll talk about how to work that math out later on today's webinar. I'll tell you why this happened. It happened because of a series of economic downturns and left turns and upside down turns. 2001, 2008, 2011, waves and waves and waves of unemployed executives and people who couldn't cut it in one field or another. They said, I know, I'll become a speaker, author, coach, consultant. And they went to Kinko's and they printed up some business cards, and the market was flooded. At these touch points, and probably several more smaller ones, flooded with amateurs. So too many of those amateur speakers were willing to speak for free. Too many free speakers then start to skew the marketplace, because guess what? Buyers are now used to free speakers. And then this skewed market leads to skewed strategies, and it just keeps going down this negative, vicious cycle. So it gets even worse, because these numbers tend to decay over time. They do not improve. Generally speaking, the folks that we talk to, if left to their own devices, they do not grow their business. In fact, things often get worse. So when people apply to have a conversation with us, we ask about revenue goals. We pulled 40 applications, and we did this at the back end of last year. Pulled 40 applications, and we followed up with these speaking-driven entrepreneurs. And these were keynoters and seminar people and workshop people and consultants and authors and people who were what we call professionals who speak. Not necessarily full-time speakers, but professionals who use speaking as a lead generator or a revenue generator. I want you to guess, out of those 40 people that we pulled, after they talked to us, and we either didn't invite them in or they didn't accept our invitation, they went off in some other direction. Guess how many of those people improved their numbers and were better off financially 6 to 8 to 12 weeks after we spoke to them? Go ahead and guess and just type that in the question box. And I'm curious what kind of optimism is in our audience right here.
So far, we've got everything from 80%. Brad says 5%. Tim says 0. Carolyn says 30%, less than 10%, 5, 50. Boy, these are scanning by so fast I can barely keep up. Mike says, David Chapman says 100%. I don't think quite that high. We've got Scott Love at 110%. We've got Billy at 10, Gary at 10. We should drop the truth on him, huh, David?
I'm gonna bust the suspense bubble here, folks. It is 0. It is 0. So either they were exactly where they were when we last checked in, or things had gotten worse. Things had gotten worse. And I share that with you simply to say that there are some major, major, major shifts that we're going to talk about here in a moment, that if you're not aware of what's going on and you're using outdated, out of sync speaker marketing strategies that may have worked 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, none of that stuff's going to work today. None of it. And what's interesting / sad is that a lot of the speaker marketing gurus out there are teaching the concepts that worked 10 years ago, 5 years ago, etc., and no one's calling that the emperor has no new clothes, right? Or the emperor has new clothes, but they're buck naked. Emperor's naked, people, naked. Let's talk about what these trends are. So the first thing, and some of you guys are aware of this and some of you might not be, there's a whole arena now of speakers who are playing this game of pay to play, meaning they're vendors who speak, they're people who are paying for speaking slots at major industry conferences. I don't mean you get paid. I don't mean you're getting paid 5 or 10 or 15,000. I mean that you're writing a check to them, to the conference, for $15, $20, $25,000, and that keynote spot is basically a paid promotional commercial. Now, when you're showing up with your hat in hand going, hey, do you want to pay me $10,000 to come and speak? You're being laughed out of the room because, like, no, dude, you need to pay me $25,000 to come speak at my event, right? So if you're not aware of that and you're not able to separate which of those opportunities is like a real speaking opportunity versus which is a pay-to-play kind of scheme, that's going to be a problem. Number 2 is industry speakers. And we've all run into the executives who speak, the CEOs, the presidents, the brand managers, the VPs. There is no shortage of expertise and talent who are happy to speak because they want to promote their company or promote their brand, even if it's not a pay-to-play arrangement. Number 3, because of the flood of people entering this business, this is a very easy business to get into and a very hard business to be successful at. And some of the veterans, some of the industry veterans that are on this call right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is way more noise and way more competition and way more confusion in the marketplace now than ever before. Number 4 is downward price pressure at every level. Let me talk about what that means. So let's say that you're a $5,000 speaker. You're a $5,000 speaker. You're out there. You're getting $5,000 here, there, everywhere. Great. Your biggest competition is not another $5,000 speaker. Your biggest competition is the $15,000 speaker who's willing to take 5. Now, there's problems on both ends of this, right? The $5,000 speaker is willing to take 3,000, caving on price, low self-esteem, low self-value, etc. That's a problem. But now imagine the $15,000 speaker, because they haven't dialed this in either. They're now willing to cut their fee, drop their fee, cave on the price, take that down to $5,000. And so now it's a totally uneven playing field. Number 5, and Teresa and I hear this all the time, man, I'm really good. I love getting out there and my audiences love me. Listen, friends, being good is table stakes. It is not the magic key to getting booked. It is not the magic key to getting paid. We're assuming that you're really, really good at what you do. You better be really, really good at what you do. That is no longer a differentiating factor. The sixth element is that buyers are busier and pickier than ever before. And then I already talked about number 7, which is outdated advice, greedy gurus, clueless peer opinions about what actually works, maybe gumming up your business more so than helping. So, without getting into too much of a rant, because I'm just getting over a bit of a cold, so I can't rant. Teresa's not going to let me rant. But
no ranting today, David.
No ranting today. But I want you to look at this article from Forbes. This is one of the industry leading speaker coaches that has a presentation skill coaches specifically that has a column. He himself has written many best-selling books and has a $15,000 speaking fee himself, which he has no problem getting week in and week out. He's got the nerve to post this in his Forbes column. You guys can Google this. I'll let you figure it out. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus directly, but this is from Forbes.com. Speaking is not a profession. It's not a profession. It's an activity. It's a way to communicate your passion about a subject upon which you're expert. So he says, begin with the idea. Begin with the passion. Work on your stuff. Work on your stuff. And then write your book, give your free speeches, create your community, launch your blog, create your platform of fans and fellow believers. Once you've got all that down, the invitations to speak for money will come. Now, to me, that seems like, you know what? I'm going to save my voice. I'm going to save my voice. Teresa, we're going to make this an interactive experiential activity. Because we have the smart cookies here on the line, what do you guys think is wrong with this statement? From this guy who's a very successful paid professional speaker, probably makes $500,000-$600,000 from keynotes just on his own, let alone the books and the coaching that he does. How do you have the chutzpah to show up on your Forbes column and say speaking is not a profession? Well, it is for me, but it's not for you. Wink, wink, wink. Type in just a couple of keywords or short phrases. What do you think is wrong with this picture? Why is this not the right message to be sending out? I'm curious what you guys think.
I haven't read all of them, but Gina's got a good one. WTF. Kay says, holy cow, do as I say, not as I do. Yeah. Diane says, invitations to speak for money don't just come. That's right. I see a BS. Brad says it's BS. David says, pure unadulterated nonsense. I think they're ranting, David, and you can save your voice. We'll just do this more often. Let them rant.
I love this. Mike
says,
it's you. I'll tell you why I love it. You guys took the words out of my mouth.
That's right. I love it.
Exactly right. So there's the BS button. So whoever said total unadulterated BS, congratulations, you were a half step ahead of me. There's the red BS button, and you're exactly right. So that's one thing that we definitely have to revive your speaking business from that kind of thinking. Here's something else that might be killing your business, which is the old way or the old advice. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Oh, you want to be a speaker? Okay, sure. Well, like this other guy said a second ago, you have to blog. Well, no, you really don't have to blog. You have to tweet, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, networking. Don't forget to go to trade shows, get lots of media. Don't forget to send out your press releases. Oh my God, referral marketing. Blast out 1,000 postcards every week. Don't forget to do a lot of batch and blast cold calling so you can spam the universe with that. Free speaking, the more free speaking, the better. And you got to do webinars and have your YouTube videos and plaster the world with articles. You got to write a book. You have to host podcasts, interviews, search engine optimization. I can't even finish the list. I can't. I mean, I can, but I can't. So no wonder that people are exhausted. By the time they book a call with us, they say, oh man, I can't do this anymore. I'm just exhausted. I I can't, maybe I'm not cut out to be a speaker because I can't do all this exhausting, these 100 marketing jobs a day that all the other gurus are telling me that I need to do. So without ranting, unless you guys feel like there's a rant coming on here, have you been told similar advice that you have to do these 100 marketing jobs to be a quote unquote serious paid professional speaker or an expert who speaks professionally? Does some of this look familiar, that all of this is your job?
We have yes, yes. Oh my God, he knows my pain, the tree says. Y says yes. Cornelius, yes, yes. And I was told I have to have a book. Rennie Cook, hey Rennie, nice to have you. 1,000,001 times, he says. Carolyn says, and unfortunately, it's in our NSA chapter. Ooh, ouch. We have Cindy Ann says yes. And of course, Latrice says, Lord help us. Kay says it's overwhelming. Yes. Oh, wow. Lots of bad information out there, David.
Lots of bad information. So here's the smart way. We can all take a nice deep cleansing breath. The smart way, the simple way, the Zen, all you grasshopper people, listen to me, grasshopper. Choose a few proven marketing tactics that you personally find easy, effortless, and enjoyable. Man, doesn't that sound way better? Play only to your strengths and commit to 1 or 2 main marketing dishes, not 10. This entire buffet of marketing activities, when you eat 10 appetizers and 10 main courses and 10 sides and 10 desserts, and then you wonder, why am I feeling sick? Why am I feeling sick to my stomach? Why am I not feeling very good right now? Why do I not want to go back to the buffet? It's because you haven't stuck to this mantra of choosing a few key, specific marketing activities that you personally find easy, effortless, and fun, and that you only play to your strengths, and do that day in, day out, every single day. And then here's the most important part. The 3 most important words, maybe 3 most important words on this webinar today. Drop everything else. Stop doing it. You have my permission. You have Teresa's permission. You have our joint permission to please, 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 please stop doing all that other marketing monkey work that you hate. And we're going to talk about some of the smart, specific strategies that will work for you. But right now, this marketing circus that you're running needs to stop. We got to get the elephants and the monkeys off your back and all that crazy stuff. So just drop everything else if it's not serving you, if it's not bringing checks in the door. So the 4 magic words, if you don't like the word marketing, you don't like the word sales, offer value and invite engagement. That is your new mantra. That is your new job as an expert who speaks professionally. So you don't need to come across as pushy, salesy, needy, slimy, desperate, weird, none of those things. You want to show up on their radar, whether this is an association, a corporation, a decision maker, a conference chair, an association executive, a VP at a company that you want to work with. You want to show up on their radar as a partner and not a peddler. So let's talk about what the thriving 6% are doing that are really making it happen. What do they know, do, and have that you don't? And it's a surprisingly simple set of things. It really is a surprisingly simple set of things. And we're going to talk about this. This is our process that some of you may have seen before, because this is our infrastructure, our framework for our mentoring and for the whole process and program that we put all of our clients through. It's strategy, packaging, focus, prospects, outreach, sales, and leverage. Now, if you have all of those firing on all cylinders, you will have the ultimate end result that's in this final column on the right. Unfortunately, many of the speakers that we talk to, they are missing more than one. So, but we'll self-diagnose this for you, and we'll see which one or which ones might be missing. And then as we go through the rest of our training, we're going to try and close some of these gaps and see what's going on for you. So let's say that strategy is the missing piece for you. Without strategy, you've got tacticitis. Tacticitis is just random tactic after random tactic. And as you know, random tactics lead to random results. So that's bad. If you are missing the packaging piece, right, everything else might be totally dialed in, but your packaging is weak or non-existent, then your problem, again, look at the right-hand side column, is commodity status, right? There's nothing special, no distinction, nothing that sets you apart from the competition. You look like a same-o, lame-o speaker or a same-o, lame-o expert. When focus is missing, then you have squirrel syndrome, right? You've got squirrel syndrome where you're just running around from, shiny object syndrome rules the day, and you're always going to get distracted. You're always going to get distracted. New opportunity, basically distraction disguised as an opportunity. It's always going to take you off course. If you don't have a prospecting plan or a firm North Star with your prospecting strategy, then you're going to be a pinball, meaning that you're going to be with the accountants on one day and the plumbers on the next day and the, the lunch ladies on the third day. The problem with that is the accountants don't talk to the plumbers, don't talk to the lunch ladies. So you never get any momentum if you're just pinballing all around the universe. If you don't have an outreach plan, like staying at home waiting for the phone to ring, BKS stands for Best Kept Secret. And of course, you're the best kept secret. Many of the people that we talk to on the phone, by the way, they say, man, my clients love me. I just feel like I'm a best kept secret. And then we talk about outreach and what you're doing as far as proactive outreach. And the phone gets really quiet and you start hearing crickets and you start seeing tumbleweed go down the main street there of the Wild West town. And there's not a lot of outreach. So that's best kept secret syndrome. If you don't have a sales process, or you don't like sales, or you don't do well at sales, then you're going to be slowly going broke. And that was the story of my speaking business the first 3 years that I was doing this as a generalist, as that same old, because again, guys, I told you I had all these problems, right? I did the tactics, I didn't have the packaging, I was the grocery bag, I was all over the map. The problem was, the big underlying problem was no sales process, no appetite to develop one, and I spent 3 years slowly going broke. And it was a very harsh and painful time in my business. The last one is no leverage. So you can have everything dialed in, you're getting gigs, but you don't have a business. And when you're getting gigs and you don't have a business, that's where you get stressed out, maxed out, and burned out, because you're always looking for the next gig, always looking for the next gig, always looking for the next gig, and that you realize that that's not a sustainable business model. So leverage strategies include things like sponsorship. Leverage strategies include things like licensing and certification. Leverage strategies include things like having an online course or an online mentoring program. Anyway, if you have everything dialed in except the leverage, then of course you risk burnout. So in the question box, I'm just curious, type in which one of these is your familiar friend. And maybe it's several. Is it tacticitis, commodity, squirrel, pinball, BKS is best kept secret, slow broke, or burnout? And again, just the right-hand side column is the ones that are missing. Now, here's what's funny. While you're typing that, I'll just share with you real quick. If you and I were to sit down over a cup of coffee and you were to tell me about your speaking-driven business, I could tell within 5 to 7 minutes which 2 or 3 or 4 of these was missing for you. Out of all the folks that we've talked to, I don't think a single person has had just one gap. It's almost always 2 or 3 or 4. Sometimes it's all. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing all these boulders uphill and I don't really have any of this dialed in, and I've just been getting lucky. I've just been getting gigs. I've just been kind of squeezing things out because I'm really good at what I do, but no strategy, don't have a lot of packaging, not very focused person, prospecting, I wish, outreach, not there, sales, forget about it, and leverage, not even on the horizon. So it is possible to make money and have all 7 of these be broken, It's just very, very hard. So I'm curious, by way of self-recognition, which ones are you guys dealing with?
Cher and Amy and M and Cindy Ann, all BKS, best kept secrets. We got a lot of squirrels in the group, Kay and Tamra. We got leverage is missing, Leanne says. Wow, pinball. Y says he's a pinball. Carolyn Quinton says it's true the customers don't talk to each other. Interesting. Let's see. These are scrolling pretty fast, so hang on just a second. Oh, Lisa says slow broke.
Yeah.
Squirrel. Yeah, lots of squirrels.
Lots of squirrels today. So you guys are in the right place, because Teresa and I must be the nuts. Squirrels always find the nuts, right?
But bump.
That's it. I got a million of them. I'm banging down Ricola. I got the Ricola's getting to my head now with the silly joke. All right, let's go deep into some of these. Let's look at strategy. So I want to talk about some bad strategic advice, and I want to absolve you from taking any more bad strategic advice. So part of the problem that just really gets my goat, and I'm going to stay calm. Because I have to stay calm, is this kind of millionaire speaker mindset that everyone's doing millionaire speaker this, millionaire speaker that, how to become a millionaire, this, that, and the other thing. And it's funny because none of these people that are saying millionaire speaker this, millionaire speaker that are telling you, well, how do you make $20,000? How do you make $50,000? Wasn't it more realistic to say, well, let's make 20K, and then let's make an extra 50K, and then maybe let's make an extra 100K, and then let's maybe make an extra 200K. They want to take you right to $1 million, like $0 to $1 million in 17 minutes. And if you're not doing that, then you must be crazy. And you got to sign up for our, $30,000 boot camp, and you have to join our super duper elite, double gold Helix mastermind for $57,000, and all this crazy hype that is in our business. And it makes me nuts. So this is also part of the shiny object, right? The squirrel. When you see one of these come in your inbox, when you see one of these come through your Facebook stream, when you see one of these come across your Google video ads, be smart enough to go, wait a second, that doesn't smell right. that just, not to, get too visual here with the graphic, but that doesn't smell right. I'll tell you what it does smell like. It smells like a bull doing a little poopy. So that smells like bull poopy. Can I use a technical term like that? Is that all right?
You just said that word on live webinar.
You guys are here for, this is a landmark occasion where David says bull poopy. I'm just here for the fun. The other thing that you want to be really careful of is, I know, here's how to make your speaking business take off like gangbusters. You have to, make this crazy kind of video, or you have to have this kind of speaker sheet or media kit or, lumpy mail package. No, it's not that. It's you have to have a $25,000 website. Well, here's the deal, folks. It is not about your video. It is not about what's in your lumpy mail or your speaker kit. It's not about a $25,000 website. Here's what it's about. It's really about having a solid strategy. I know this does not sound sexy. This does not sound fun. This does not sound slick, but this is the truth. So you need a business model and a service model and a revenue model that gives you a repeatable, tactical process. What that means is that every day you wake up knowing what your marching orders are, knowing what to do, knowing what to say, knowing what to send, knowing who to connect with, knowing where the buyers are, knowing where to do your outreach, knowing where to invite people to a meaningful conversation with you about how you can help them. And doing that, if it's a repeatable, systematic, tactical process, will give you a predictable flow of clients and cash so that you're no longer guessing. You're no longer hoping. You're no longer praying. You're no longer winging it. So our client, Mike Thompson, came to us already very successful, but did not have the repeatable path that we're talking about. In his own words, he was always hunting the next wabbit, always hunting the next wabbit on that gig-to-gig hamster wheel. So Mike's situation after working with us, he really glommed on to this concept of leverage. And the leverage strategy that he used was sponsorship. And so he says, I got one sponsor on the line for $50,000 and another just signed a $75,000 a year contract for 3 years. So that's $225,000. I can't say enough about David personally, and his mentoring program made all the difference. I've stopped hunting wabbits, and I'm finally building a real business around my speaking. So once you get that dialed in, once that strategy starts to become clear of where you can start to plug into a larger value proposition, all kinds of things start to become possible. All right, let's look at packaging. Packaging is another very, very important thing. What I want you to make the switch right now in your mind is that you're not a professional speaker, you're a professional problem solver. So as soon as you make that strategic switch, all kinds of opportunities open up for you. Professional speaker is a skill set. It is not a job description. And you can deploy that skill set in lots of different modalities and lots of different applications. Now, once you make that switch, here's what's exciting. If you're on the newer end of the speaking scale, maybe you're making, from a couple thousand to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, you can start to elevate and escalate that up. If you're already a $7,500 speaker, $10,000 speaker, you want to elevate that up to 10 or 12 or 15. You can make that happen. You will easily command that newer, higher level of fee for the work that you do. You'll be positioned as the obvious choice for premium clients because some of them don't want a speaker, but they definitely want to have a problem solved. And so you don't want to even compete with the other speakers, and there's almost no competition for the serious problem solvers. Those clients, when you connect with them, they're expecting to pay premium fees for the kinds of results that you deliver. And that's going to unlock a consistent $15,000 a month, $20,000 a month, maybe even $30,000 a month of additional speaking-driven business over and beyond what you're doing today. Let me repeat that. That's not, hey, 15K, 30K. Some of you guys are already there now, and that's great. I'm talking about 15K more or 20K more per month than what you're doing now, with a couple of small shifts in your positioning and packaging and the articulation of how you do what you do as a professional problem solver, not just as a professional speaker. So Tony Lucero had some great success doing this. Tony came to us already successful as a speaker, but didn't have some of these professional problem solver tools in his toolkit. Long story short, picked up 2 coaching clients totaling $32,400, and I'm on retainer for 90 days at $10,000 per month with the company. Not bad. The reason I'm telling you this is not to boast, as many of you are much better than I am, but the activity that David outlines and focusing on what I wanted to attract to my business that allows the doors to be opened. Stay the course, do the work, and know your target market. And then I put love, love, love these results, Tony. And then Tony very kindly puts at the bottom there, your program, David, made this possible. So right there, that is $62,400. Tony thought he was a great keynote speaker. And he still is and was a great keynote speaker at this time. But now he's a great keynote speaker that has these other arrows in his quiver. Because now he's a complete, well-rounded solution to what his clients are wrestling with and struggling with, and they're happy to pay premium fees to get those problems solved. Let's look at prospecting next. Prospecting, you really have to transform your thinking. Nobody is going to value your expertise more highly than you do. So what does this mean for you? A little bit of tough love right now. Some of you have to let go of the small potatoes thinking. Some of you have to let go of the imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. Who am I to put myself out there as an expert? You know what that little voice in your head sounds like. Some of you have to let go that prospecting means spray and pray. Prospecting does not mean spray and pray. Prospecting is laser and it's not shotgun. The fourth thing is outreach reluctance. I don't want to call. I don't want to email. I don't want to LinkedIn. I don't want to get referred. I don't want to get introduced. I don't want to be a pest. I don't want to be a bother. Let me see if some of these prospecting myths that are in your head right now are actually there. So if you've suffered from small potatoes thinking, meaning undercharging, under-earning, low fees, staying local, playing small, type in small potatoes. If you know what I'm talking about with the imposter syndrome, just type in the word imposter. If you've been guilty of spray and pray, then go ahead and just put spray and pray. And if sometimes you just don't want to send that email, don't want to pick up the phone, don't want to get referred, don't want to get introduced, you're just, I just don't want to do the outreach. I just don't want to get shot down again. I just don't want to go out there and have my hopes shattered one more time. Go ahead and type outreach for the outreach reluctance. And again, when I didn't have any of this marketing stuff dialed in, this was a big problem. Once I realized I no longer had 1,000 marketing jobs and I could focus on what was easy, effortless, enjoyable, and fun, and then I became laser and no more shotgun, all of these things fell away. And I think all of these things will fall away for our folks here as well. Teresa, are people resonating with this, or was it just me being an insecure little puppy?
No, we're all these mistakes that we've made, they're making too. And so we're in it together. Good thing we're on the back side of it. We've got quite a few spray and prays. We've got Kay with outreach reluctance, imposter syndrome for Tim. We've got Latrice's small potatoes. Wow, lots of small potatoes. Lots of room for growth there. Gary says outreach, all fours.
Yeah.
And it says saves typing time, just all four.
All four. And then, of course, there's the getting my name out there nonsense, which, we saved that for last. I'm not even sure what that means. It's like, just get my name out there. Just, I'm gonna, just, what does that even mean, right? People buy press releases or they buy all kinds of crazy stuff, which all of those things are good if you understand the purpose, right? So getting involved in social media. Social media is great, but it's not sales activity. Sending a press release is great, but it's not sales activity. Writing a blog post is great, but it's not sales activity. So anything that we're hiding behind, right? Getting my name out there, I'm practicing my speech, I'm going to my Toastmasters club. None of that is marketing, but it's easy to hide behind when marketing becomes this yucky, gross kind of thing. So that's bad. We want to revive your speaking business from that. So let's talk about a definition of a prospect. Definition of a prospect is this is the person who owns the problem that you solve, meaning that they have a need, they have a desire, and they have a budget to solve the problem. And let's go back and talk about what that means. They have a need, meaning that you have shown up on their radar with a highly relevant solution. That they understand they have a problem, they understand that you have a relevant solution to help them, and there's a connection on that need level. Now, beyond that, they have to want to solve the problem. When they want to solve the problem, right? People buy things that they want. They don't buy things that they need. So this is like saying, okay, Teresa, over here I've got some broccoli, and over here I got some brownies. That's a tough one, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are going to go, man, I need the iron in that broccoli, but ooh, that brownie looks good. So you're going to go for the brownie because we go for what we want. So the desire piece has to be there, and that's what's going to build up a sense of urgency so that you move from being a nice to have to being a have to have. A lot of good speakers and experts die in the quadrant of nice to have, and they never cross over into that have to have, that in demand speaking driven expert where their stuff is bought and it doesn't have to be sold nearly so hard. And then the third element is probably the most important. They have your budget. So they have the ability to pay you and bring you in. Now, if they don't have your fee, they are not your prospect. This is a very logical, pure definition, right? Definition of my prospect is someone who has money to pay me. Don't have money to pay me, you're not my prospect. I got to move on. I got to keep looking. If you're looking for love in all the wrong places, you will find it, but it's a very frustrating, very long, hard road to go. So you don't want to do that. So you want to find the people that have economic buying power to bring you in, that own the problem that you solve and who want to solve it now. And if you keep on living in that quadrant of nice to have and courting people that don't have budget, man, this is just painful for me because like the first three to 5 years of my business, I got the marketing stuff down in the first 3 years. It took me another 2 years to get the sales stuff down. Type in the question box if you are sick and tired of talking to the people who consider you a nice to have and don't have the money to pay you anyway. So is it just me that was playing in the land of nice to have, and I never moved into have to have, must have, get this guy in here, hire him now, we need this immediately? And then the people I was talking to, they had the economic authority to tell me no, but very few of them had the economic authority to tell me yes. And that was so frustrating. Have you guys had this experience too, or is it just me as a young pup?
Nope, it's not just you, David. Again, Gina says yes. Cindy says, oh, yes. Nikki says, tired. Annika says, been there too. Yes, no urgency, Rennie says. Candace says, yes. John, yes, with exclamation points. We have M says, yep. Mike Moore says, yes. And it says, I'm the best free thing out there, Wise says.
So this is the kind of thing where we have to have boundaries as professionals that we're only going to connect with real prospects who have a real need and a real desire and a real budget. And Teresa, you and I can think of probably half a dozen people that we've talked to on the phone where they just either they don't see this or they see it and they refuse to change it. And it's very frustrating because you're like, well, you got to ask the Dr. Phil question. How's that working for you? And they go, no, but I know that these are the right people. It's like, dude, no need, no desire, no budget. Those are the wrong people. Keep looking, or look harder, or look elsewhere, or look higher, or look somewhere. But don't keep doing what you're doing and banging your head against the same brick wall.
That's right.
All right, mistake number 4 is aiming too low. Low goals. Not sure why people have low goals, but I guess some people do. And, if anything, my recommendation here would be to aim higher sooner. There is nothing to prevent you from finding state, national associations, conferences, conventions, groups that have your fee. When you stay local, and this is again small potatoes thinking, stay in your own backyard, think small, play small, no wonder the money's not coming, because typically at the local and city and regional level, those gigs are almost always free. At the state level and national level, they almost always pay their main stage speakers. So aim higher sooner. There's nothing to stop you from resetting your sights right now today to go after bigger, juicier, bolder gigs than you might otherwise do. So John Garrett came through our program and he had a low aim financially, and then also low aim with the kind of gigs he was going after. Here's what he had to say coming out the back end of it. The best ROI a recovering CPA could dream of. John was able to sell more speaking engagements to better clients at consistently higher fees. He had an 85% increase in income from last year, and he booked a $5,500 gig within 5 weeks of starting the program. All of that came from resetting his sights, resetting his prospecting, resetting those 3 needles that we talked about moving, right? Need, desire, urgency, budget, right? And starting to have the right kind of conversations with the right people instead of the wrong kind of conversations with the wrong people, where it was always a frustrating struggle. And it was always a battle of wits and always trying to, trick them basically, and, chase them. And it was terrible. When he started talking to the better clients, and notice what's happening here. Sell more speaking to better clients at higher fees. All 3 of those things go together, right? A lot of people think, well, if I go for higher fees, that means there's fewer of them. No, you go for higher fees, you start having the right conversations with the right kinds of prospects, you will find and connect with more of them. So I want you to really take John's success story to heart here. Sell more speaking, better clients, and higher fees. They all 3 go together. And you really, really have to take this to heart, and you have to believe it, because we've seen it dozens and dozens and dozens of times with our clients that have made this leap. And it is amazing when you start focusing on the right kinds of prospect conversations, what can start to happen. Mistake number 5 is no secret sauce. We talked about this a little bit already, about the same old lame-o speakers, sound the same, look the same, act the same, no specificity, no relevance, no urgency. You're kind of hedging your bets. You're kind of keeping things safe, right? And hoping to not stand out from the crowd too much. The problem, of course, is that you have all kinds of amazing distinctions and amazing advantages and amazing positioning, but you're probably not using it. So here's what you should start doing right now. Use the overlap and the intersection of your own personal background, history, your personal strengths, your expertise, experience, previous jobs, previous careers, having what Teresa and I call the right names to drop and the right stories to tell. There's low-hanging fruit hiding in plain sight as far as your articulation and distinction. But if you work so hard to erase those distinctions and look like and sound like everybody else, it's going to damage your ability to connect with the best prospects. It's not going to help you. The other thing that we see a lot is foreground-background confusion, where what you think is the main topic is not the main topic, but there's an umbrella topic, and then what you think is the main topic is actually the rocket fuel that's in your backpack that will propel that message into the marketplace, and it's already aimed at a problem that your prospects and clients and audiences know that they want to solve. So sometimes we also talk about this as a speaker-centric message, which is a very tough sell, to an audience-centric or even a problem-centric message, which is an easier sell. And then the background is, well, here's why I am uniquely qualified to be the messenger of this message. Here's why I'm uniquely qualified to bring you this information, because I've made these mistakes. I've climbed these mountaintops. I've fell into these ravines, and I know how I can help your people best. So don't make it a speaker-centric message. Make it a value-centric or an audience-centric message, and that can sometimes make all the difference. Let's move on and talk about sales here. Sales, money falling out of the sky. Damn, I love that.
A beautiful thing.
Economic reality about speaking fees. This comes straight out of our National Speakers Association survey that they did recently. This is average fees compared to years in NSA. And there's good news and bad news. There's stuff I want you to pay attention to. Here's stuff I want you to ignore. So the first thing I want you to pay attention to is the circled numbers, right? For 3,800, less than 1 year, right? Fresh off the boat, basically, $3,820. Moving up the scale, $5,578, $5,724, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 fees, not uncommon. What I want you to ignore, because this has nothing to do with experience. In other words, this is correlation, but it's not causality, right? This is the range between $3,800 and $8,000, right? Forget about the 1 year, 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 10. That doesn't really matter. What I want to show you is that the baseline math here, if you're below this, you got to sync up to this quickly. If you're already bringing in these kinds of numbers or more than these numbers, because of course these are all averages, so even the 1 to 2 year people, half of them are making more than 55.78, half are making less, right? I want you to be in the half that's making more, right? That's what average means. Average means half make more, half make less. You say, oh, I couldn't possibly charge $5,500 for what I do. Sure you can. I can't possibly charge $7,500 for what I do. Sure you can, right? So this is kind of the minimum wage scale. The minimum wage scale. If you're already bringing in these kind of numbers, I would challenge you and ask you, when's the last time that you raised your fee? And is it high enough to anchor the value that you deliver for your clients? Because here's the real deal truth about fees. If you're tired of undercharging and under-earning, even if you're a seasoned pro, fees are a filter for your best clients. If you're having trouble getting clients right now, my recommendation is to raise your fees, don't lower them. Raise your fees, don't lower them. Because fees are a filter for who they look at and who they hire. Your fee's too low and you will be overlooked. Premium clients expect to pay premium fees. It's not about what you need to earn. It's literally about what they need to pay to take you seriously. So we have just sales success after sales success. These are some screenshots from our mentoring group. $106,000 in the past 6 months. $12,500 for a speaking fee. $30,000 for a multi-day program. This one's kind of fun, Teresa. Remember this one?
Yes, I do.
Because David and Teresa, I know you're cruising on the iPad there. But look at the words here. I have a system. To contact qualified leads. My sales proposition is what they're looking for, and I'm booking clients. Boom, boom, boom. 3 new clients, $20K in income up front. Broke the 6-figure mark already. It's not even October yet, so that was from last fall, obviously. Proof that it's always best to get on the phone to discuss possibilities. Go into the conversation with a confident, I can help you mindset, right? Like I talked to you guys about, inviting people to a conversation about how you can help them. My client ended up doing a full fee booking for February 2018, $7,500, boom, easy, done. And again, that was last December. I love this stuff. So more and more success stories. Getting back on track, booked $33,000 in the past 3 weeks. Booked 2 $5,000 speeches this week. Thanks, David. And then may have just landed a $60,000 to $70,000 contract in less than a week of sales cycle. I have a handshake and verbal agreement from the CEO and his executives. First event is scheduled, just formalizing the contract and sending them the paperwork today. So this can happen very, very quickly. This is not some long, painful, drawn-out process that you have to go through. No more small potatoes thinking. Stop treating this like an expensive hobby. Even if you're doing okay, maybe you're bringing in $100,000, $150,000 a year. That's great. Doing okay was not your initial dream when you started your entrepreneurial business. So people sometimes say, well, okay, I've been doing this for a few years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. How much should I be making? How much should I really be making? As a starting point, Teresa and I like to quote doctor money. And the average physician salary for a general practice physician in the U.S. is $186,600. You should be making at least that much in your speaking-driven business. For some of you that are already there or past that, it should be 2 or 3 times that amount. So you should be at the 500, 600, 700K level, but you're not there yet because you don't have some of this dialed in. So Susan Robertson is one of our success stories. And again, just to show you how quickly this can turn around, Susan was in the program, and within a couple of weeks, she had really never been paid to speak, and she got her first gig for $7,500. Then she quickly got another gig that she wouldn't have even gone for. She would have gladly done it for free, but she ended up getting it for a $3,500 fee, plus full-length HD video, plus introductions to people that she targeted from their list, plus video testimonials. Huge win for me for something I would have normally done for free and probably wouldn't have even thought to try to get regardless. So basically from $0 to $11,000 in the course of 6 weeks, and she's just getting warmed up. She was just getting warmed up. So bonus strategy is invest in mentoring. A good mentor is going to give you great ideas and make sure you act on them. A great mentor is also going to put together a powerful group of people all working towards similar goals, and this is absolutely a force multiplier. In our mentoring program, there are people earning $3,000 a month working right alongside folks earning $30,000 a month and more, and everyone wins from that idea exchange and that cross-pollination. So again, this is our system. This is our process that we work with all of our clients on. The first 3 columns there, the strategy, the packaging, the focus, that's all your inner game. That's all your internal focus. Then we turn to the external prospecting, outreach, and sales and make sure that you're market ready. And then we talk about some scalability strategies to help you with your perpetual marketing plan and things like sponsorship and licensing and certification, and make sure that you're not on that gig to gig hamster wheel. So all of those things taken together are the formula for success. So in order to revive your speaking, of course, you have to understand the causes of the death of speaking. The old way that speakers got booked, paid, and built a high profit business is coming to an end. Recycled information, outdated strategies, clueless peers, greedy gurus, broken promises are going to destroy a lot of speakers over the next 6 to 12 months. And if you want to win, and Teresa and I both want you to win, you need to do things smarter. Focus on solving real problems, building a real business, and not just finding the next gig. And the time to do that is right now. So the old way that we've been talking about is with old results, slow, difficult, death of speaking mindset. Keep being confused, keep spinning your wheels, still not earning what you deserve, whatever that means, whether you're fairly new or whether you're a seasoned pro in the business. Basically, it's about not reaching that next level of income that you know is possible for you. And with no guidance and no accountability and no support, I know it can be a hard, lonely road. Because mainly it was the hard, lonely road that I was on for the first 5 years of my business. So we'd like to make it a little bit easier for you. And that can all end today when you book a one-on-one speaker strategy session with our team at doitmarketing.com/apply. Here's what's going to happen on that call. We are going to diagnose what's really going on in your speaking-driven business. We're going to find the strategic gaps, following along exactly what we've been talking about today, helping you dial in what the top 1% of speakers know and do differently. And we're going to help you refocus and reframe and reboot exactly what you need to do from where you are today to where you would like to go. Look at what needs to be fixed with your messaging, with your packaging, with your positioning, your pricing and your fee structures, your marketing activity or lack thereof, your sales activity or lack thereof. We're going to basically fill in what's missing for you to consistently get clients that you love and finally earn what you deserve. So the only catch is that we are pretty selective with who we invite onto these calls. And so I'll tell you who we're looking for. And if this is you, I would invite you to book a call at doitmarketing.com/apply. And that link is open right now if you'd like to go and do that. First thing is you have to be serious, decisive, and committed to making your business profitable over the next 60 days. Whether you've started speaking or you're a seasoned pro, Whether you've got your niche or message nailed down or not, whether you're in this full-time or maybe you're planning your corporate escape, if you're willing to follow a proven process to ramp up your revenue and you take mentorship and direction well, you will get tremendous value from this call. And if you want to put another $10,000 to $20,000 in your pocket over the next 60 to 90 days and build a predictable flow of clients and cash, I would encourage you to pop over to doitmarketing.com/apply. So we're about to go into our Q&A, and I know people have had questions here. We're going to get to those questions in a moment. I'll tell you why we're doing this. On the call, our team is going to help you get total clarity about exactly what you want your business to look like and the exact steps that you should take to achieve your goals. If you want our help, and if we think it's a good fit in both directions, we may invite you to work with us, and we may not. Either way, my promise to you, it's going to be the most valuable 45 minutes that you're going to invest to grow your speaking-driven business and help you get results. And so that's waiting for you at doitmarketing.com/apply. So if you're interested in a rapid breakthrough, I would do that now. Teresa, were you able to pop that into the chat or no?
Sure did. Got it in the chat and got it in the question box out to everybody. So clickable link.
Excellent. All right, team. Well, so Teresa and I are here and ready for your questions. While you're making that booking at doitmarketing.com/apply, I'll tell you how that works. And as the questions are coming in, just please do type the questions into the question box about anything we talked about today, any of today's teaching, or questions that you have about your speaking-driven business. The scheduler is going to pop up. It's going to ask you to pick a time. You're going to pick a time, and then you're going to get a questionnaire. The questionnaire, keep that window open, and then you can fill that in. We don't want you necessarily, splitting your focus and jumping over here and then jumping over there and jumping over here, this third place. But it is important that you complete that questionnaire so we can absolutely prepare for your call and make the very most of your consultation time. So the team always likes to know that we've got kind of a good picture of what you have going on, what you want to be doing, where things are today, and how we can help you close the gap. So that's what you'll get. Do book the time. When you go to doitmarketing.com/apply, you'll see some times for today and tomorrow, and I think maybe even into Wednesday. And at that point, when that prep form comes up, that second step that's asking us some details about you and your speaking business, you can fill that out in a couple of minutes here as we're talking or when we're done talking. All right, Teresa, what questions do people have? Anything about today's teaching content or questions of any kind that we can help with?
We do have a couple. And guys, if you put a question earlier in the webinar and we don't get to it, please just post it again at the bottom so we can get that fresh on our radar on this end. So Gina is asking, she says, she only speaks for free for her college alma mater, so she's made an exception there. Everybody else, she says, has to pay. But she's curious about speaking at conferences and workshops that typically don't have a pay or like panels. So when most of them don't pay, what's your advice, David?
Well, this also backs up into your strategy about, do you want to get paid to speak or do you want to get paid because you spoke? So they're both valid business models. The only problem is when you get, it's not a paid speaking opportunity. It's not in front of the right group. So it's also not a lead generating opportunity. Then my question to you is, why are you there? Why are you there? Why would you want to be in that room? So, there is speaking for leads. If you have a high degree of confidence that your next few paid speaking or paid coaching or paid consulting clients are in that audience, that makes perfect logical sense. That is a valid marketing activity for your speaking-driven business. Obviously, fee-paid speaking is always, if it's the right fee, if it's your fee, is a valid activity. It's really when you kind of strip away both and you realize, gosh, they're not paying me and these aren't my people and I don't feel I'm getting a good lead flow out of this. Why am I here? Because they asked is not a good reason. And because I want to be a nice person, I don't want to say no is not a good reason. So you really have to think of it as the CEO of your speaking business and not as a speaker. As a speaker, we always want to go speak. We always want to say yes. We always want to be nice. We always want to serve every audience, regardless of if that makes sense for us or not. I think we have to start diffusing that mentality, and we have to start treating this like a business and not like a hobby, and asking yourself, if you were the CEO of your speaking driven business, would the CEO approve that expenditure of time, money, and effort in that direction or not?
Hey, great job. So we have John Gilbert says, as a part of my business, I code language and coach professionals on an evidence-based practice for communication regarding behavior change. What are ways you see as leveraging this sort of service through your program?
Can I be brutally honest, and maybe it's the Vicks cold medicine? I am not sure what that question means.
I think what he's saying is, does he have a topic that we could help him move forward in the marketplace? If I had to, John, if you'll just confirm that I understood the question right. Yeah, he helps with language and communication, and he coaches professionals. And I think what he's saying is what a lot of our clients come to us with, David, is, is my topic something that you could help me with? And yes, he's saying that's exactly what he's asking.
Got it. Yes, I think part of it might be a messaging problem or a packaging problem or a foreground background confusion problem that you're using your words to talk about that as opposed to framing it in the in context of the problem that you're solving. And I'll tell you, is John? Is that correct?
Yes.
John.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, so I got to give John a ton of credit because he stepped up with this, and so thank you. Me included, we all love our stuff so much, and we love our jargon, and we love our language, and we love our methodology, and all of this stuff. In order to be effective marketers, we have to learn to speak prospect language about prospect problems. So, John, if your question is, would we have something valuable to talk about during your strategy call? The answer is yes. And it's going to be a matter of re-articulating that in a compelling way that solves a problem that your clients and audiences already want to solve.
Perfect. All right. Steve has a question. It says, can you have two target markets so long as they're related, or does that dilute your focus and therefore a big mistake? Great question, Steve.
Well, you can. I think life is easier when they're at least adjacent or aligned or somehow connected. So, if it was rocket scientists and Girl Scouts, that would be pretty far apart. If it was rocket scientists and rocket engineers, or if it was Girl Scouts and, Boy Scouts, it might be easier. So, radically different target markets, it's like pushing two boulders uphill.
That's right.
One question I would have is, do you have any indication of, is there low-hanging fruit in one of those buckets? Either you have more access, you've got a bigger Rolodex, you've got a bigger client base, you've got more affinity, you've got more names to drop and more stories to tell in one of those two, where it might even behoove you to just double down and really dig into that one and then save the second one for later on and not try and own two mountaintops at once, but do it sequentially.
Totally agree. And Maria has a question. She says, what's your advice for someone new approaching a national conference? And she's not talking about mindset. What she's talking about is, what do you actually do and say?
When you're approaching a national conference?
Yep. That's what the question is.
Well, I think the first thing is you want to be a student of the game. We always tell our clients that you want to be a student of the game. You want to really figure out what's their programming, who's spoken for them in previous years, what are some trends and themes and patterns that you're picking up in their programming, what are some gaps in their programming that you might be uniquely qualified to fill, so that you're not just applying for a slot. People that are just applying for a slot or fill out the dreaded call for speakers forms. Teresa and I have a joke among our client base that call for speaker forms is where good speakers go to die. And it really is where good speakers go to die. So you want to have a much more intelligent, much more better researched approach. And like in Tony Lucero's case, for example, I mean, he said it best in his case study, that screenshot that I shared with you guys. Know your client better than they know themselves. So really understand what they're after, what their constituents want, why that's important to them, and you will show up. Here's what's fun about this. You will show up on their radar way better than even a seasoned speaker. So forget about you being new. This is about you cutting right to the front of the line. You cut right to the front of the line when you are more relevant, more researched, more nuanced, and more targeted. Unfortunately, the truth is there are seasoned speakers, not our clients, by the way, but there are seasoned speakers that all they do is batch and blast cold calling, and they spam the universe with brochures and flyers and emails, and they spray the world with LinkedIn spam, and they have a much better story to tell than that, but they don't. And then we'll have a new speaker like you come in, pick up some of our tools, pick up some of our strategies, and start getting booked left, right, and sideways because they're doing it the right way. It's not about how long you've been doing it or how new you are. It's about how relevant you are and how valuable you are.
Awesome. Looks like we've just got one last question. Oops, and it just, hang on. Things are moving on this side here. It had to do with figuring out, David, not just how to find prospects, but how do you go about researching and finding ones that are a higher potential for having budget? What are some of the indicators or advice you'd give for finding prospects in the marketplace that are just a little closer to being spot on than just going for the freebies all the time?
Well, I think it's about a couple of things. Number one, it's about learning to hunt and fish in the right places. So even having just an intelligent prospecting plan to begin with, even with an intelligent prospecting plan, you're going to have to send some emails or get referred or get introduced or do some interviews or we have a whole host of strategies in our program that get you contact with buyers and do a very quick qualifying and disqualifying conversation so that you stop wasting so much time with, first call, second call, third call, committee meeting. Oh, by the way, we don't pay speakers. It's like, oh man, I want to find this out right away. I don't want to wait till like a third, fourth, fifth thing. I fall in love with you, you fall in love with me. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, we don't pay speakers. So being more cognizant at every step that, this is, and this, so I'll throw you a nugget here. A lot of times people say, do you bring in outside speakers? And the buyer, all good intent, says, yes, we bring in outside speakers. Now, the subtext is, we don't pay any of them, right? Because they're not going to tell you that. Oh, yeah, we bring in outside speakers all the time. So changing your vocabulary. Do you hire outside speakers? Do you hire paid professional speakers, right? Do you hire main stage keynote speakers, right? Using these words, hire, paid, professional, you will get a better answer when you start to ask a better question. And right from the get-go, oh no, we never hire anybody. No, these are all free. Okay, well, you're gone. Throw the little ones back in the water and you keep looking. Now, as far as being a student of the game and really understanding where do I start hunting and fishing in the first place, part of that's doing a competitive scan. Part of that is doing some pattern recognition of what kinds of associations and conferences tend to show up on other speakers, testimonial sheets, client lists, etc. Not to poach them, but literally pattern recognition. If you start to see the same kinds of national organizations, state associations, etc., you need to really be sensitive to that and go, okay, so I think the American Bankers Association hires paid professional speakers. Because guess what? The American Bankers Association does hire paid professional speakers, and they've got big national events, and they've got regional events, and they've got 50 state conferences, and there's 50 state associations, and then there's the Bank Marketing Association, and there's the Credit Union Associations, all of these different kinds of things. I could pick any vertical, I could pick any niche industry, right? Do anywhere from a half day to a day of research, and you would become a real student of that game and figure out where's the money, follow the money, figure out, where are the real opportunities, and just blueprint that out for yourself so that you're not wasting a whole lot of time on the front end. But I mean, that's what we talk about that all the time, and that's just kind of scratching the tip of the iceberg as far as the sniffing out a decent opportunity or a decent set of opportunities. But that would be a good starter set for you to get going on.
Fantastic. That is all the questions that I have, David. That's it.
Well, that is good, because that's all the Ricola cough drops I got.
I was wondering how you were holding up.
That is it, my friends. All right. Well, Teresa, thank you for co-piloting once again. And everybody, Thank you for tuning in. Awesome day to you, and we will talk next time.
Bye, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend and week.